Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Red Sun Gamer, son of a podcast, episode 55. Today's date, March 17th, and I'm your host, DJ Mizuhara. I'm not quite dead yet. We have Elliot.
Hey, everybody, long time no see.
We have Eric.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Subaku, man.
Thank you much.
Hey, it's all good. We have Hasumo.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, you're back in Japan, right?
Yep.
Yep, you're a resident of Tokyo. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a pain in the ass.
Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, we have a special guest, I'd say.
You're special, all right?
Well, special like he's got Velcro shoes.
I didn't say it, you did.
Yeah, we got a Monster Hunter player, a player who's like, was it 500 hours plus of Monster Hunter, and he goes by the name of Kyofu.
Yeah, it's way more than 500 hours, I'm afraid.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of hours lost, unfortunately.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. We brought you onto the show specifically to basically like compare, because there's a lot of comparison at the moment between Soul Sacrifice. There you go. And Monster Hunter. So we thought, who better to bring on than yourself? So,
well, I can definitely see the comparison, so I'm glad to be here.
Okie dokie, good. I'd just like to get out of the way before we get into everything is the hiatus that we've been on. I'm quite sick. I've been in hospital. I got diagnosed with a pancreas tumor. Well, actually, two of them, and I have an operation next month to remove my pancreas completely. So that's why we've been away. So yeah, sorry for the inconvenience, and I'm glad to be back for about another 3 weeks or so before I get cut up and stuff removed. But then hopefully, if I'm still alive after the operation, I'll be back. So hopefully the podcast will probably come back in about May time. So it's
Prime time for E3 too.
Right. Okay. So. Soul Sacrifice, people.
Soul Sacrifice.
So
it is a game.
Everybody here has it?
Yes.
Yep. I caved.
You caved, right. We'll get into the reason why you caved in a minute. Mm-hmm. Yes. So Soul Sacrifice came out on the, what was it?
The Vita.
No, really? It was the Vita? The 7th I'm talking about, right?
Believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah, March 7th. I actually went to a midnight opening of my local store. It does a midnight opening for every Thursday in Japan. So basically, so you get there, and there was like 15 to 20 people standing in line, and everyone bought Soul Sacrifice. Some people bought the double pack. Some people bought, I think there was 2 or 3 people who were actually buying the Vita bundle as well. So yeah, I was quite surprised because I was expecting people to be buying other stuff, but everyone in line had a copy of Soul Sacrifice in their hand. So I was happy. I finally popped it into my Vita after driving home, and immediately tried to take on the boss.
Merlin?
Yes.
Merlin?
I tried to take on Merlin straight away.
Yeah, not a wise idea.
Yeah, not a wise idea. No, I think...
Well, at least you got to see the end credits.
Yeah, I got to see the end credits and listen to some beautiful music. I take it you did the same thing, Elliot?
Oh, yeah, I did. You know, I put in like a good 7 hours on the demo.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that option, Challenge Merlin, on the main menu, I was like, I got to try this.
Yeah.
It ended in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I got one hit killed.
Yeah, I think we all did that. You know.
Oh, so everyone did the same thing. So I'm not just like a crazy person. Well, the good thing is because I don't know if you remember last time is the game called Dokuro.
Yeah.
It transferred your demo save over to the retail game, but it only transferred over to the download version, not the actual retail
physical version. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting the demo version to actually carry over into the retail version of Soul Sacrifice, but lo and behold, to my surprise, yes, it transferred straight away, and I was actually it said start new game or continue, and continue was blanked out, so I was like, oh god, well, here we go. It it didn't recognize my save file. So I hit new game, and then it said, "Oh, you've got a demo save file. Do you want to load it?" And I was like, "You damn right I do." So yeah, so I hit that, and it went straight into the game, and it said, as you just said before, challenge Merlin. So I did, and then got to listen to some beautiful music.
So did you keep everything from the demo with the new game? Did you have all your spell?
Yeah, everything came over.
Spells, levels, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Wow.
The whole work. So
I mean, the demo is basically just the opening prologue.
It's a prologue, right?
And some extra Avalon missions that don't actually happen that early in the game, as far as I can tell. Because you don't fight Cerberus in Avalon until way later, as far as I can tell. So
yeah, I think it's just a taster of what to expect, right? So yeah, so everything carried over straight away. So
I think Elliot was saying that the clock didn't carry over. That was a little bit of a weird thing.
Because I carried my save over, and when I checked my save file after getting killed by Merlin, it only said 8 minutes. So it was only counting the amount of time I had spent in it since turning on the retail version.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't count the time I spent in the demo. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of the game clock and how much time you've actually spent on the game.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not quite surprised though. I mean,
not really.
You kind of want to know how long you spent in the game you've paid for, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it doesn't matter either way, but it's just one of those things where it's like for people who pay a lot of like mind to how much time is on their game clock. Just if you import or if you're going to buy it when it comes to America, just keep that little thing in mind.
Cool. So, has anybody here actually finished the game yet?
Yep.
Hasimo.
It took me about 30 hours and 2 days to finally kill Merlin. But during my lunch break at work, I had a breakthrough and was finally able to kill it after hearing a few of Kyofu's advices.
You're being advised to the late to the party? He was late to the party, man. He was giving us loads.
He was late to the party and he has 2 times the playtime as me.
Yeah, I know. It's quite sickening.
So this is, you have 30 hours on it, but that's just the single player, right?
Right.
Okay.
Wow. Alrighty, so do you want to explain, do you want to go through the story, guys, of how the story works?
Okay,
yeah.
Sounds fine.
Alrighty.
So, basically, the story is a story explained to you, told you by the book itself, the book that you see in the main menu.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's just a story, you can modify your character, as you like, how many times you like, and stuff like that. Although, I have to say that once, during the story, one of the supporting characters got killed. Well, I sacrificed him to finish the mission. And then I got a book error after clearing that mission. Yeah, it said that this character's death is too important change to the story, so that I can't proceed and have to clear the quest again.
I was wondering about that, actually, because I not naming any characters, but I was just like, what if I sacrifice them? Like, isn't that gonna...
It's integral to the story, right?
The story? Okay.
Excellent. So basically, what did it do? Did it, put you back to the title screen and say start again?
No, it just didn't clear the quest and I had to do it all over again. It also didn't save the progress, so it was basically a quest failure.
Okay. All right.
But you didn't find out till the very end.
Yep. Sadly.
That's rough.
Did you lose everything from that quest? Like you didn't keep your XP or anything? Really?
Really?
That's awful. That is awful.
I think that's quite amusing. You're killing people who are integral to the actual story, so it basically kicks you back out and says, right, try again.
Asshole.
Yeah, that's all good. Anyways, so you want to carry on with the story?
Oh yeah, the story is basically the story of, sacrifice is the main theme there. I'm not going to name any people to not spoil anything, but the presentation is great. The book's voice, especially, it's really awesome. It's like few people talking together.
Mm-hmm.
merged in one, so listening to it is a real pleasure. And the cards of the book are filled with words, and the graphical side of things is really surprisingly well done. You could do this like any other, I don't know, visual novel and just put the text there, but it's just as if the text itself lived.
Yeah.
What I got.
A big thing, like the way the story is told, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, but it's literally a book. I mean, the story is told through the pages of the book. You're not seeing characters on screen moving around talking to each other 98% of the time. You're seeing text on a page fill itself in with still illustrations that appear on like different pages and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's completely voiced. It's fully voiced.
It's beautiful voice as well. It's like two layers of voices on top of each other, right? It gives you really, it's kind of spooky when you hear two voices at the same time.
Yeah, because I mean they're completely. I mean, there's like a gruff man voice, and there's like a little like child or girl voice. I can't really tell, but like they're completely opposite voices, like going almost at the same time.
Yeah,
it's a really weird effect, but it's neat.
Well, it's cool because part of that too is because the narrator is, well, technically the narrator isn't you, but it is you because you're living through them in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But the narrator isn't. They aren't defined as male or female anyway, so it sort of keeps their role ambiguous. Through the story, which I think is really cool. But it is, you are reading a book. But I think it's a really interestingly written book. I think the illustrations are really beautiful. And the music, Yasunori Mitsuda, who worked on Chrono Trigger and Xenogears, did a really phenomenal job on the soundtrack. I mean, I actually bought the digital version a few minutes ago. And it's really fantastic. It's beautiful.
How much was that?
On iTunes, it was... I bought it on Japanese iTunes, but it was 2,100 yen. So with the current exchange rate, around $21.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Did you get the item download code from that?
No, not with the digital version. At least not that I could tell.
That's a shame. Okay, so I mean, the one thing about the story that I took away from is actually in the game. Because you can replay the same chapter over and over again, right?
Correct.
So the book will rewrite itself whether or not you kill somebody or or save them, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So I thought that was really interesting the way that would do that, because you just go back and you can like keep leveling up and getting more experience by doing the same level over and over, but the book will rewrite itself every time.
Yeah, one of the things is that if you save one of the big boss monsters, they join you as an NPC who goes with you on quest. You can select them to go with you on quest afterward.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you sacrifice them, that doesn't happen. But let's say you save someone first, and then you go back and replay the mission and sacrifice them. That person will be eliminated from your roster of characters because the book has rewritten itself.
Right.
In the main story, if you're saving a character when you should be sacrificing them, the story will change a little bit. Like a little bit of the text after that boss fight will be a little bit different. Maybe things will play out slightly differently. But where that really comes into play is in the Avalon missions, which are the side quests and like kind of the bulk of the game. But we can go into that later.
Right.
But it's really interesting. And of course, all of that plays an effect on your appearance and your powers too. So it's all really neatly tied together, story and gameplay.
Right. Well, what's the first thing that hit you when you played this game?
I'd have to say probably the music.
Right.
Just because Mitsuda hasn't, as far as I know at least, I could be talking out of my ass, hasn't like worked on any big project on his own in a long time.
Right.
And at least looking at the track list, he did about 90% of the soundtrack. So this was pretty much his project.
Wasn't most of this recorded in the Skywalker Studios?
Correct.
Yeah,
they use Skywalker Studios, and you can tell with the audio quality too. It's fully orchestrated. But yeah, it was just really beautiful, and I wasn't really expecting that. Just going into the main menu, the main book,
right,
where you spend a lot of your time upgrading things, and it's just you leave your Vita sitting there because the music's so beautiful.
Are you playing this with headphones, or are you playing the sound coming directly from the Vita?
I've actually have like one pair of decent headphones right now, so I mostly play it without headphones on. But yeah, just the music is beautiful. I mean, as soon as I found out the soundtrack was coming out, I grabbed it like immediately.
Right, because in the retail version, there's a pamphlet in the box. It says like, or is it March 13th?
Yeah, they were pushing that too, and I can see why. You know, Mitsuda is a big name in the Japanese video game industry, so to have him working on this is kind of a big deal.
Yes, I'd totally agree. Okay, so yeah, we got two people here, Eric and Kyofu, that basically didn't seem to want to play it.
That's not true. I wouldn't say that.
Really? Okay, yeah, well, okay, Eric did then, because
Eric did.
I remember Eric saying, we said, Eric, did you play it? He went, yeah, I played it for 10 minutes and switched it off.
Yep, I did.
Sorry?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. And I to be honest, I didn't expect you to be picking this up whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to cave. I was actually surprised.
But on Twitter, and we have a line messenger thing going on, and he was pestering Mehdi to take him to Gale all the time, every day. And it was quite amusing, and I didn't quite understand why the cave. So explain.
It's the same reason that I ever played Call of Duty. Sometimes I just want to play a multiplayer game. Like last year, I did Dragon Quest X, and everyone's playing Soul Sacrifice now. And I'm like, well, I want to get some multiplayer going on. It's just that multiplayer, that I want to do every once in a while. And this just happened to be the game. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You basically just didn't want to be alone.
Yeah, I was
so lonely.
I was crying every night, guys. Just every night, just tears.
He used to send me pictures of himself crying.
Well, I did.
Yeah,
it was like the Soul Sacrifice chat was the only one that was firing off with people talking. I'm like, oh, I'm all alone. So
yeah,
I actually found it. Like, how much did you guys pay for it?
I paid $4,900.
I found it in retail for $45.
Wow, nice.
And then I had a bunch of Yamada Denki points, so it was down. I got it down to I paid $37 for it or something. So I got it pretty cheap too. Like it would have cost about that much if I actually got the double pack with Mehdi. So that's why I got it. That was another reason.
I got the double pack with a friend of mine, and at my store it was 7,000 yen for the double pack. And I had a lot of points, and I ended up paying off my 3,500 with points. I pretty much got the game for free, which is awesome.
That's a good game for free.
Bought my copy for 26, I think, because I had a lot of Yamada points, and I actually bought a 5,000 yen PlayStation cash card. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough. So, okay, Kyofu.
Yes.
Why? Why did you cave? Can you explain why you caved?
Well, I blame you guys because
Thank you.
I mean, okay, this is the thing. I love 4-player action games, Monster Hunter, PSO back in the day, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I when Soul Sacrifice was announced, I was excited for it because it looked good. And I've been thinking about just waiting for the English version to come out because I feel like maybe playing in my native language, which may be a little bit of a dodgy reason for you, Martin, but I think it's a legit reason. But seeing you guys talk about it and the stream that you had on the Twitch channel for Red Sun Gamer just made me cave in because not only was the music amazing, but the gameplay that was going on, that was just unbelievable. I had to get it. I just had to get it.
Wow. That video of us playing for what was about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It looked great because you guys was using the party chat on the Vita, so you were actually cooperating, and that's one of the things I like about Soul Sacrifice is the cooperation. You were healing each other, you were reviving each other, and maybe even
sacrificing
each other. Yeah.
Trolling.
Well, yeah, I mean, because sometimes towards the end, at the end, when you're actually fighting a boss, you have to choose whether or not to sacrifice or save them. Obviously, if there's 4 people playing, and I mean, not everybody's going to be choosing the same thing, right? So, I mean, I always try and sacrifice them, but you guys are all trying to save them as well. So you guys got all of the points, and I got nothing.
that is something I'm enjoying the game, but that's something I don't know if I agree with as a mechanic.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't
really
quite sure about that as well. I was like, well, I fought the boss with them. I mean, I defeated it with them, but because I chose to sacrifice them, whereas everyone else has chosen to save them, and I get nothing.
Well, I mean, you get those, you get the points for sacrificing them, but that's not necessarily what you wanted. So it's kind of it's like you get those points, just not towards what you need it for.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing worth mentioning though, because I had no idea about that. The fact that like, there are the two sides that you try to balance out and pick what you want. The what is the law and the chaos?
Yeah, law and chaos.
Yeah, because like I didn't even realize that. But like, there's the 100 level. You have 100 levels, but like you can only level. But they're split between the two different sides as you choose. So wait, I didn't think I had that yet. But so like say like 3 of you guys save and Martin sacrifices. So then like Martin will get the save point, the law points, because it was saved.
Yes,
that's how it works.
Yeah, but only if he gets in on it. Only if he actually like pulls up his hand to draw from them. Because as we discovered, if you don't go to sacrifice or save them, and let's say you're like far on the other end of the field, and everybody else already pulls the soul out, you get nothing.
Yeah, you get nothing because I keep having to shout at them. I'm like, stop, wait, just wait for me, and I'm running, I'm pressing X, and I'm sprinting to get there, and then it ends, and I'm like, you bastards, and you've all just like sacrificed or saved them, and I was busy shouting at you guys saying wait, and you didn't listen. It's like, yeah, thanks. So I spammed you with Gollum. Yeah. So, Kyofu, the comparison thing with Monster Hunter and Soul Sacrifice, can you lay down the law?
Well, they're very similar in terms of the basic premise of the game is just 4 players working together to take down this one boss, right? Or multiple in some quests. But really, it's different because in Monster Hunter, you're restricted to 1 weapon, and in Soul Sacrifice, you have 6 slots for 6 different magic or spells or spell offerings that you can use, and they can be projectile attacks, they can be weapon attacks, they can be all sorts of attacks, or even healing spells or stuff like that. But in Monster Hunter, it's more refined and restricted down to just 1 single weapon. Which I feel is the big difference between the 2 games, because your playstyle is very different in both games. In Soul Sacrifice, you're launching a lot of attacks, doing all sorts of movement spells, anything like that. But in Monster Hunter, you're basically stuck on this boss and you're wailing on it, pretty much, right? So they're very different in terms of combat. And also, the Monster Hunter is based on weapons and armor to basically strengthen your character, right? To do more damage. Whereas in Soul Sacrifice, you have a level up system, and if you gain points in the Chaos side, then your attack increases, and if you gain points in your Law side, then your defense increases, right? So. That's something to think about it where you want to balance your character, or if you want to just completely go attack or defense. Whereas in Monster Hunter, usually, everything grows. Your attack grows as you gain better weapons, and your defense goes up as you increase, as you gain better armor and all that stuff. So, I mean, they're very different in that respect. But it's basically an orange and an apple, I feel. But at the end of the day, you're going to put one of them in your mouth, right? You want to eat an apple or you want to eat an orange, right? And I feel that because they're both different enough, I don't think you can say one of them is better or one of them is worse. You can have a fruit salad. They can both coexist because they're both very fun. Yeah, they're both very fun, and they're very different as well. They're still 4-player action games, but you do different things in them. It feels different because I know Martin isn't a Monster Hunter fan, excuse me, but he still likes Soul Sacrifice because it's different to him, I mean, the speed is also very different. Monster Hunter feels very, very slow and more
methodical.
More methodical. Whereas Soul Sacrifice is like a little bit like God Eater. It has a fast tempo to it.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot going on the screen. I mean, there's the big monster that you have to damage and evade, and then there are smaller monsters, and then there's your group launching all these spells.
Too.
Yeah, that's right. So I think they're very different, but they're both very, very good still, in my opinion. I'm not going to say which one's better or worse if that's what the viewers want. But I will give my thumbs up to both. I mean, yeah, you're not much of a Monster Hunter fan, so I mean, and that's fine because Monster Hunter is not for everyone, and certainly Soul Sacrifice is also not for everyone. I don't expect everyone to enjoy one or the other or even both, because they're very.
I think these sort of games are like that, though. Like even within their own, just sort of within themselves, they're just not for everybody. Like Soul Sacrifice is different from Monster Hunter, but that doesn't make it any less difficult to get into, I guess you could say, for some people, as Monster Hunter is for others. So I mean, yeah, I mentioned this before the podcast, but I've only put like 20 hours into Monster Hunter Tops, and right now I only have 20 hours into Soul Sacrifice. So I've pretty much gotten like that same amount of time in on both, and I enjoy Monster Hunter a lot, and I'm enjoying Soul Sacrifice a lot too. But I think for me, Soul Sacrifice plays more towards what I like in action games. But that's not saying that Monster Hunter is doing something worse as far as I'm concerned, because it's not. It's just not necessarily my type of game. There might be people out there who enjoy both or one or the other, but I don't think it's necessary to compare the two on like a actual like critical level, because they do enough different that it doesn't really seem like a worthwhile comparison.
Right. The thing I found about Soul Sacrifice is like you can just get straight into the action straight away, and because you've got like six different powers or magics that you can take into battle with you, and straight off the bat, it just feels like more accessible because there's more there at the beginning offering to the player. I think that's one of the reasons why it grabbed me more than Monster Hunter did. Generally speak, just because of what you get on the plate when you start. And that's how I see it, and obviously, as Kyofu said before, it's a fast-paced action game as well. I think that's what it speaks to me more, is the fact that it offers you more off the bat than what I got from Monster Hunter. I felt that Monster Hunter to me was. How do you explain it? To me, Monster Hunter was very like closed off. It felt like a chore to get to a decent level. When you were like with everybody else, like if you were playing with other people who've been playing it for a while, I felt like totally useless.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas in Soul Sacrifice, even though you guys are way more powerful than I am, I still feel like I've got something to contribute to the overall fight.
Be sacrificed.
So, yeah, I can whistle and run away.
Well, to compare that, you bring up a good point. Monster Hunter, when you start Monster Hunter, you're very weak, and you have these very 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 weak weapons, and you have a basic armor set, and it takes a while to grind out the gear and the weapon that you need to become to be able to hold your own in a group, basically, right? But honestly, I feel that in Soul Sacrifice, if you've been following the NeoGAF thread, the Soul Sacrifice NeoGAF thread, you'll know that I originally, when I got the game, I really wasn't feeling it.
I remember seeing you saying, "Oh, hang on, there's no multiplayer," and we were like, "Yeah, you have to unlock it," and you were like, "What?"
Yeah, it took me a while to get into the whole for the whole game. Even when I unlocked multiplayer, I didn't feel like there were enough spells at the beginning to make me enjoy it, to allow me to feel that, you know, that soul sacrifice experience that I am now experiencing right now after, you know, 70 hours of play or whatever. I mean, it doesn't take that long to get the spells that allow you to enjoy the game, but I feel at the very start, just like Monster, you don't immediately get into the action, I feel. But unlike Monster, this is the key difference. And I know that you guys want to hear the comparison. You want to know, okay, what does Soul Sacrifice do that Monster doesn't, and you know, vice versa. And this is, in my opinion, the key difference. Soul Sacrifice cuts out all of the grind from Monster, because in Monster, you have to, for rare materials, you literally have to grind the same boss over and over and over. And if you're lucky, you may get it, you know, the first or second try. But usually, because it's a rare chance to get the item itself, you have to, you know, try 5, 10, 20 times if you're unlucky, you know. So whereas in Soul Sacrifice, if you get the correct score, the basic score at the end, you just unlock everything, every drop, every rare drop, instantly. You know, you don't have to, if you're good enough, that is, you don't have to spend, you know, hours or even days on one boss just to get that one unlock, which I feel is great.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the score system in Soul Sacrifice for the listeners who have no idea what that entails?
Well, if you perform certain, if you meet certain conditions, you gain points. For example, if you use Mind's Eye, which is if you press down on your D-pad, then you go into a ghost mode where you see where there are basically shards or pickups or item pickups or even spell pickups.
Yeah, you can also see like the boss's like weak points as well, right?
Yes,
the boss's weak points, which something you can't do in Monster Hunter. You have to basically play a guessing game. If you know the game well enough, then you know, okay, then maybe the horn is the weak point or whatever. Whereas in Soul Sacrifice, you just press down on the D-pad and you can see it there. Okay, so when you press down on the D-pad, you gain 10 points for doing that. Basically, they're encouraging you to do that.
Yeah,
that's their way of encouraging you to look at the weak points of the monster or go searching for, you know, pickups to help the battle. And also you can get points for there are spell combinations in this game where, for example, if the group uses enough ice spells on a monster, then the monster becomes frozen in one big block of ice.
Yeah.
And it's unable to move. It's completely immobile, right?
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can combine spells where the monster's frozen. If you use a electrical attack, a thunder attack, then that causes a spell detonation. So
breaks it,
once
right?
You do, that breaks and you do more damage. And once you do that, you gain, I think, something like
60, right?
To 60 points. Maybe.
I think it's 60.
Yeah, 60 points, which adds to your total score at the end, and doing things like, for example, breaking weak points on monsters.
Hitting the head.
Yeah, breaking, for example, destroying the wings of the harpy. For example, that will give you points, and that accumulates at the end.
There's the first hit as well.
First hit. Whoever gets the first hit.
Yeah, whoever gets the first hit gets points as well. I mean, you can rack up like 520 points or something within a game.
I caught a screenshot of me getting 570, I think.
Okay.
It depends on how many weak points a certain boss has. And what the potential of the score that you can get, because for some quests the limit the score condition that you need to meet can be something like 290, and for others it could be a little bit higher. It depends on the quest, But once you meet the conditions, once you meet that score needed, then you unlock the rare drops. And basically what the drops are in this game are all spells, right?
Yeah.
Everything that drops in this game, everything that's rewarded at the end of the quest is spells, whereas in Monster Hunter, you gain materials, right?
Right.
And those materials go to your armor and weapons, whereas in this game, every action that you make is through spell offerings, and you gain those at the end of the quest. So the game is instantly more accessible because you're gaining those attacks,
right?
Those abilities at the end of the quest.
Yeah.
And if you're good enough, if you know what you're doing, which it's honestly not that difficult for the average player, I feel. Then you should be able to unlock most things relatively quickly, I feel.
Right.
Which,
I think that an important thing is to mention is the spells. Is when you're using the spells within the game, you can actually break them by using them too much, and they start to flash. And when they start to flash, it obviously means it's telling you they're about to either run out, expire, and you can actually recharge them within the game by using the mind's eye, and you can see the shards to go and replenish it, or to sacrifice an enemy, and it'll also replenish them as well. I mean, I think that's cool that you can actually take in to battle your weapons, but actually break them because you use them too much as well.
I mean, I feel like a big part of battle is managing your resources and knowing when to stop using your weapons and when to start searching for, new resources, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool aspect of the game because obviously if you break it, obviously you go in with 6, and I mean sometimes I come out with 3 left, 3 working, and obviously depending on what kind of boss you're fighting or what enemies some of the items that I had left didn't really do much damage to the particular boss I was fighting. So say for instance he wasn't very good with water, but I was using fire against him, and the fire wasn't really doing anything to him. So it's quite a fun balance to have. Obviously, going into battle, and the main thing you need to do is before you actually go into battle is to figure out what kind of weapons and elements that you need to fight against the boss before you go in, because you can go in with the totally wrong elements. And you can just do nothing to him.
I've done that too.
Yeah, and you can spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes trying to destroy a boss with elements that are just totally all wrong. So before you enter the battle and that, check your elements first and go manage what you've got. You can actually fix them as well, because if you break them and they're no longer in use, when you go back to your management screen, you can actually fix them.
With tears.
With tears.
Delicious tears.
Not enough tears.
Not enough tears. You want to explain tears, please?
So the book, he's an emotional kind of guy. And after you've been on quests, if you go back to the main screen, the book will have built up tears. And by touching the screen, you can wipe the tears off of his cheek. And you use these tears to fix your spells. And also to fix your, what are they called? The taboo spells, the big ones that break when you use them once. Yeah, the forbidden arts. And you have to use the tears to fix those as well. But yeah, you essentially, let's say you spend, 2 hours playing multiplayer with your friends, and you finally finish and you exit out to the main menu, you'll have gotten something like, 300 tears, 200 tears that just go to your overall usage later in the game. But there's no reason to go back and forth between them because they just keep building up when you're not there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just like if you need them, go back and get them sort of thing.
Okay. One more cool thing about the spells is that you can actually save your spell sets. So, for example, you make 6 sets each for a different element. So you can load them later and you don't have to do that every time, that micromanagement.
Yeah. I didn't know about that for a while.
Yeah, which is something even in Monster Hunter you can do, where because elements in both games play a vital role in battle to do, obviously do more damage, to efficiently kill kill monsters. You can just save sets for certain elements, or even not just elements, but also certain spell combinations, as I talked earlier. I mean, there are spells in this game where you can, for example, slow down time or completely stop time. So basically, if you use that on the boss, if you slow down time or freeze time on the boss stops moving or moves very slowly, and that plays a key. That plays an advantage for you because obviously the boss isn't gonna hurt you very much when it's very slow or not moving at all. So there are certain spells that you can use even with Forbidden Arts that every day I'm finding people using new combinations. That I think to myself, wow, that is a really good idea. And I've heard complaints on the forum on NeoGAF where people say there aren't enough spell types, but I disagree because like I said, every day I'm finding new combinations and new ways of taking down a boss, and they're all very clever, and which is something I'm very impressed with.
Wait, who was it the other day who was saying they don't charge their spells very often?
Oh, right.
Was that Yukio? Was that Eric?
Yeah, okay, this is what I noticed. So Eric recently got the game, and I don't think he understands the law and the chaos sides, and he thinks that he only has to go one route, and which is right, but I mean, in order to replenish your spells in combat, and this is one of my favorite parts of the game, is especially during an intense boss fight, where you are not only having to deal a lot of damage before your party gets wiped out, but you also have to deal with smaller minions, and when you kill smaller minions, and when you sacrifice those minions, you gain you gain some of your spell stock back, right, to use again. And Eric is just going around saving everything and not sacrificing.
You always save. I played RPGs all the time. You always save. You just always save.
I agree. I am completely in agreement. But it's just funny to watch. Okay, this is another part I like. I talked about cooperation before. So imagine you don't have any spells left to use, right? They're all flashing red, and you don't want to break them in combat, right? So you need to go and hunt down a minion and sacrifice it to gain spell uses back. But Eric here is basically running around saving everything, every minion, stopping you from sacrificing them to use more spells, right? And I find that hilarious, which is something that I hope for any listeners who buy the American version, if you're playing this with your friends, I totally recommend using party chat and working together to manage minions and even pickups and all that stuff, because working together in this game is beautiful, and so it doesn't really happen often in Monster Hunter. I mean, in Monster Hunter you can lay down a trap and then work together to break down a body part or whatever, but there's a lot more cooperation going on in Monster Hunter, in Soul Sacrifice. Sorry.
Well, the Vita has a mic, so there's no excuse of I haven't got a mic.
Yeah,
So I mean, but the thing is, you have to start
using it.
Sorry. You have to start the party chat before the game, because if you exit out of the multiplayer, it exits from the actual.
Yeah, it disconnects, of course.
It disconnects from the network. So you have to start the party chat first, then go into.
I gotta say, I think my favorite part of Soul Sacrifice is the part at the very end of the battle. You see, golems are these really strong spells, right?
Yes. My golem.
They create these giant dudes who come out of the ground. They just wail on the bad guy, right? And they don't really move from where they are. They're kind of stuck in place.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in this game, if you get hit by a partner's strong attack, you kind of get launched. It doesn't do damage as far as I can tell, but it disrupts your attack and throws you. So it's a huge pain in the ass, right? It gets in the way of like sacrificing, saving, attacking, everything. And it can kind of put you in a really bad place. And so the best thing you can do in this game, the absolute best, bar none, is to like summon a golem toward the end of the battle, like when your opponent's really weak. And then you kill, the golem kills the monster, and the monster dies right in front of the golem. And so everybody gathers together to, you know, sacrifice or save. And just as everybody's doing it, that golem comes down with its big old hand, and everybody's knocked to the ground. And everybody gets up, tries again, gets knocked to the ground. Everybody gets up, tries again. This repeats like 5 or 6 times until the golem finally disappears. And it's
great.
It's so annoying, but it's also the most hilarious thing to watch on your screen too, because it's so comical that everybody's like really serious, like time to sacrifice, and then everybody just falls down. It just keeps going.
Especially when the golem knocks down 2 or 3 people, but one of them somehow manages to avoid the
hand slap,
strike.
Right?
Yeah, the hand slap.
Yeah, it's a big Zangief hand slap.
If you can't tell, we're talking about things that actually happened. But that's a big part of this game. Like you were saying, Kyofu, is cooperation, and that goes toward big attacks as well. Because, for example, there's a spell that turns you into a big metal flaming ball, and you can launch yourself to the opponent. But if you touch any of your teammates, you send them flying and disrupt their actions. And it doesn't seem like much because it doesn't damage them, but it puts everybody in a really terrible position, especially if you're fighting a really fast, strong boss, because it leaves them completely vulnerable to the boss's recovery. So, for example, if you're facing like a really fast Cerberus or a werewolf, and you hit your partners, but like you miss the giant wolf that's running around the arena, I mean, you just screwed over all your partners because they're gonna get their asses kicked by this huge thing. So it's really important to kind of be mindful of what everybody's doing, and everybody's doing a lot of stuff all at once. So like you're constantly
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so great about voice chat, because sometimes you go into a battle, and it's like the first time you've ever seen this boss, and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on? Like, what's this boss?" But because everyone's in voice chat, like everyone's saying, like they're telling you like the next phase of the boss's attack, and like you said, "Oh, the laser's coming," and you just see everyone like just run away, and they start hiding, and then once it stops again, they tell you like what else is about to happen in the boss's pattern. So that whole the whole communication thing over the chat is really, really important, and it's a lot of fun as well, just to listen to like obviously your teammates. So yeah, I mean, it just makes it so much more fun when you can actually talk to people and you can like coordinate an attack, or your partners can actually like give you the heads up of what's going to happen if they've fought this enemy before.
Though I got to say there is merit to playing multiplayer with random people. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll be a really good group of people and you'll get things done. It obviously won't be super coordinated, but you get what you need out of it. Other times it's just really funny to like have someone who's really terrible on your team and they die. They die over and over again. You're like, you know what? I am done sacrificing my life to save. So I'm just going to sacrifice you, and you just go for it. And you don't feel bad because you don't know who they are.
But the thing is, though, you need to know when to do that, though, because you could sacrifice them too early into a battle. I
don't even care about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, that's another. That's a very strategic element to the game. Once you sacrifice, if you sacrifice your teammate, it launches a special attack on the boss. And I think it does, quite a decent amount of damage, something like 1,500, 200, right? And if you do it too early, then you've lost one player, one teammate who could, obviously do more damage over time throughout the course of the battle. But if you do it at the right time towards the end, perhaps, where you feel it's necessary. Or if they request you to do it, then that's a very, very, very nice strategic element there. It's very. I feel like they handle death in this game a lot better than they do in Monster Hunter, because in Monster Hunter, once you die, you're dead. You respawn, but after 3 deaths, you're dead. The quest is over, finished. But in this game, you can die repeatedly. But as long as you work, as long as you work together and you revive each other, and you just work together, then you will take down a boss. As long as you know what to do, and I feel even if you die and you're in a spirit form where you've been sacrificed, and you're in a spirit form, you can still help out the team. Yeah. By holding down the screen on the boss or a player, and it either increases the player's attack power or decreases the boss's defensive power. Mm-hmm. Which I feel, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of touch controls, but I feel like that's the first time in a video game where I actually like to touch the screen, because I feel that's a very neat idea, and I don't know why Monster Hunter doesn't do something like that. I don't know how you guys
That's why it was delayed, right?
I guess it's because the way Monster Hunter's system works, like no one stays. Like if you're dead, like you go back to base camp and you come back, but it doesn't have like the same thematic element as it. So I guess it's just kind of like, well, you're dead, everybody else is dead, end of mission. You know, I like how in Soul Sacrifice that responsibility is placed in the player's hands. It's like it's up to you if you want to like sacrifice your buddies and go at this 2 against 1 giant monster, but like that's up to you how you play this battle. One thing I do have a problem with, and I think you guys will agree with me, man, the gathering quests in this game suck.
You mean the shard gathering?
Yeah,
the fragments.
Like I don't know why they're in the game. They don't, like, if you took them out, nothing of value would be lost.
I agree. I agree completely, because I feel like they have the same format as Monster Hunter, where you have the gathering quest, you have the small minion killing quest, and then you have the big boss kill quest, right? Yeah. So those are the 3 types in both games. But the difference here is that in Monster Hunter, you can gather all sorts of things. You can mine, you can gather crops, you can
health
fish
items, fish.
Yeah, exactly. You can do all sorts of things, which actually makes sense, right?
Because the game is designed for that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But in Soul Sacrifice, you're just running around and collecting these blue fragments. And okay, why? I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, I don't have
the screen's all blurry.
Oh yeah, those are just like, I mean, they're cool looking, but it's just like.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it because it's over in a flash.
Yeah, exactly. They're fast.
But I still don't understand the point. I really don't get it.
It almost felt like with those quests in particular, they were trying really hard to adhere to like a familiar formula, to the Monster Hunter formula, when they really didn't have to. Like there's really no need for it, because you're getting tons of spells from the big boss monsters. I mean, at the end of the day, this game is very much so a boss rush. You're not exploring environments. You get onto the field and you move a little bit and you find the monster. And the game is designed toward that, so it doesn't feel like it's like a waste or cheap or anything like that. Like it's not designed. You're not designed to be like chasing the monster around to different areas. That's not the way the game is structured.
Which is what I like about this. It's actually very refreshing not to go through, because Monster Hunter is split into smaller zones in one big map. Yeah. I like just diving straight headfirst into a boss fight and getting in the action, ASAP. Whereas in Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter is just a much slower game in general.
Yes.
Not only finding. I don't know what that was. I think it was his carpet, maybe. I think this is the fast pace. It's very refreshing because Monster Hunter. Okay, the difference is that Monster Hunter slows down everything. Monster Hunter, prolongs your progression through rare items. It causes you to. It makes you go hunt down a monster in different zones, chase it as it's flying away and stuff like that. Whereas in Soul Sacrifice, it just gives you the game. It's right there, instantly accessible. Everyone play, kill the boss and enjoy it. And that to me is refreshing after thousands and thousands of hours of Monster Hunter, I feel that they've created a very refreshing experience.
And see, that's actually my biggest problem with Soul Sacrifice, is that like it feels like a very condensed Monster Hunter. Like it's squeezed all the way down into one field, one big monster, one everything, and it's like what you said. Like it's a nice change, but like, and I'm only 11 hours into it, but it hasn't gotten its hooks into me yet, because like there's that slowness of Monster Hunter, for me at least, like that really like it gets into your head, it gets into my head at least. It's like, I killed the monster once, but I want to wear him. I want to wear his skin. So I'm going to kill him again and again and again. And like I would sit and redo quests in Monster Hunter, but I don't feel that in Soul Sacrifice. Soul Sacrifice to me right now feels more like a first-person shooter. Like I could jump in at any time and like do a few rounds and then hop out. But like it doesn't have that hook, at least yet for me. Well, like in Monster Hunter, where like I'm gonna stick with this for a long, long time. Like I don't know how long I'm gonna stick with Soul Sacrifice, but like it does have that fun, like quick pop in and play and get out kind of feeling. But it doesn't have that hook.
One question I do have, especially because you two are the big Monster Hunter players.
I wouldn't say big, but
this is like, how many hours did it take each of you to sort of get over that Monster Hunter hurdle that everybody says exists, and that yes, it clearly does exist? Like Eric, how long did it take you to like sort of get past that opening stretch of Monster Hunter and feel like you were having a good time?
I don't think I'm there yet.
No, Monster Hunter.
Well, I'm sorry. I get what you're saying now. With Monster Hunter, it took. I don't know how many, like time wise. It took having another person walk me through it. Okay. I needed to have a person like walk me through the game, and like any other like board. It's kind of like a board game. If you ever sat down and tried to play a board game, not like Monopoly, but like one of those really complex German board games,
you gotta have someone with you.
Yeah. If you read the rule book, if you try to play it with people who don't know what they're doing, like everyone's just like, what's going on here? But you have that one or two people, or if you're the new guy and everyone else knows what they're doing, and they ease you into it, like that kind of becomes an obsession for me. And that's what happened. Like when I tried to play Monster Hunter by itself, I couldn't get into it. But when I had a bunch of people who had been playing, like then they brought me into their group, as it were. That's when it slowly started to get its hooks into me. And so yeah, I don't know about time. It was definitely that was necessity for me.
Yeah. Granted, to be fair, we haven't exactly walked you through much of anything.
To be fair, sorry.
I'm not hating on Soul Sacrifice. I'm just saying,
no. I mean, even if you were, though, I mean that's an opinion you're totally entitled to.
I know exactly where Eric is coming from in terms of Soul Sacrifice, because it took, as you know, I wasn't feeling it to begin with. It took me, I think, at least a day or two to really be in tune with the game, because what happened was just like Monster Hunter, it starts off slow. Not all the spells are unlocked. Not everything is accessible from the very, very beginning. It takes probably 5-10 hours to truly have various spell types where you feel you're able enough to hold your own, I think.
Yeah. Can I stop you for 1 second just to clarify something too? For a lot of us, for me, Hasimo, and Martin, we had played the demo, so we had unlocked a lot of that stuff in like the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours we played the demo.
Right.
So when we jumped into the main game, that stuff was already there for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
We already went through that phase. You didn't, and I know Eric didn't.
I didn't. Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
I mean that's it. What happened for me in Soul Sacrifice was I played with randoms at first, and the bosses felt easy because it was very early game. It was the first set of difficulty monsters. It was the first star, and everything was very simple, to be honest. Just like other games where they ease you in. And I thought, okay, well, this it doesn't have a hook to me yet. I'm not really feeling it, guys. And it took, I think, a couple of hours, and as I progressed, I got to the higher difficulties, and then the monsters everything became a challenge, because not only did I have to deal with a boss moving around using new attacks, because the original version of the boss has very basic set of moves, and then once you go up a tier or two, he has new attacks and does different things, and that creates that more it creates a decent difficulty, a leap in difficulty. Whereas instead of just giving him higher attack, higher amount of health, but doing the same thing, that's not really what I call difficulty. That's just a buff in stats to me.
It's an artificial extension.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, as soon as I got into higher difficulties, and we were actually using teamwork and running around, making sure the small minions, because the minions, if they eat souls, they grow in power, and they will overwhelm you. So when we were using teamwork to take down not only the small ones and the big ones, and just working together to take down this big Cerberus who's using all sorts of lightning attacks and killing your teammates, and you're reviving them, that is when the game really clicked with me, and I thought, wow, not only is this challenging, but it also allows you to use your spells in very creative ways and in very fun ways, and I thought, yep, this game is great.
I remember actually going to bed and reading one of your tweets saying, "Oh, I'm not feeling it. It's not clicking with me." And then I woke up, and then you were in love with it, and you were like, want to make love to Inafune and stuff like that. And it's like,
you were like, "I love it. This is fantastic."
And I was like, "Wow, what a twist!" And it was amazing.
The thing is, I'm not an Inafune fan. I don't like Mega Man. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I am not a Mega Man fan. I think he also did, what was it, Onimusha? Did he make Onimusha?
Yes.
Well, basically, I'm not a Mega Man fan. I'm not really an Onimusha. He's not really my idol, Inafune, right? So I wasn't hyped to play his game. I just wanted to play a 4-player action game. And at the beginning of Soul Sacrifice, it wasn't really clicking with me because it felt too easy. I didn't feel like I had enough different spells to have fun with, basically.
So what do you say to the naysayers then of Soul Sacrifice?
Of Soul Sacrifice?
Yeah.
I guess the naysayers. When we say naysayers, I guess the people who haven't played it yet, who are just sort of immediately dumping it as a Monster Hunter clone. With all these different games, because at this point, Monster Hunter has blown up and created a genre. It is a genre now.
Yes.
Like, you just sort of have to face that and say it's
the
a
action genre. Definitely, it is. It's a huge thing in Japan, and there's God Eater, there's all sorts of clones, basically.
And I mean, back in the Super Famicom days, how long did it take for people to stop calling everything Street Fighter 2 clones? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Every fighting game was a Street Fighter 2 clone because it defined the genre, and rightly so. Yep. But I do think Soul Sacrifice does like enough legitimately different things, like not just sort of surface level stuff, but just in terms of the way the game is meant to be played and the way it's played in progression, that it two can play in the same area. Like, it's fine.
I absolutely agree. I believe 100% that both games, both franchises. I mean, I hope Soul Sacrifice becomes a franchise, because I will definitely buy the next one day one. I fully believe they can both coexist in the same world. And this is the thing with Monster Hunter players. They play the game to death in the first, couple of months, even maybe 6 months. They play it to death. They get everything, right? And then they still want that fix. They want that 4-player action fix. Go play Soul Sacrifice. It's a beautiful game. It's different enough where you feel like, okay, I'm not just playing Monster Hunter again. I'm actually playing Soul Sacrifice. I'm playing something refreshing and different enough where you can play both in the same year I mean, I don't know if Soul Sacrifice is going to be a yearly release. I wouldn't mind. But I feel that Monster Hunter fans, or even people who haven't tried Monster Hunter, should definitely check out Soul Sacrifice and give it time. Just like with Monster Hunter, give it time, because it may not click with you the first hour or two, but after maybe 5-10 hours, you can potentially see the fun in it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, another good thing to mention too is with the demo, the side quests that they throw at you in the demo, they pretty much give you like a set of boss monsters. They give you like the jack-o'-lantern, which is kind of like that sort of entry-level easy boss. They give you the harpy, and then like the final boss they give you in the demo is the Cerberus. And at the level you're at in the demo, when like by the time you unlock all that stuff, the Cerberus is really hard.
Yes, it is.
Hasimo knows what's up. He is tough as balls.
It took us about 20 minutes to kill him when we were playing with Kyle and two other friends. We finally did it, and it was tough. I think only two of us were left. At the end, we had almost no spells left. Tough
Sounds
stuff.
rough.
So I mean, like the demo had that kind of the period where like, okay, here's the opening stuff, and then by the time you're done with the demo, here's this really hard stuff that you can spend like hours on to sort of put you in that space where you've kind of done a little bit of everything. And that's something I think Monster Hunter demos need to do better. I know I've actually seen Capcom folks on Twitter say this too, like that Monster Hunter demos need to be like a chunk of the beginning to like actually teach you how to play the game a little bit, and then like side quests that are more difficult, instead of just kind of dumping you into like this game and having a bunch of weapons and here's like two big monsters to fight in the demo, because it's kind of intimidating. And I can see newcomers sort of jumping into that and being like, huh? And I thought that was something Sony did really well with Soul Sacrifice. Is like, okay, here's the opening prologue. Play the prologue. You get a good idea of like the structure of the game. And here's some multiplayer stuff just you can play online. And here's a bunch of spells that you can unlock in the demo. So you have like a really like solid, good taste of what the game is about. Which is why I was hyped about it this whole time, because I already knew what to expect going into it after that 10 hours.
Yeah, I didn't touch the demo because I wanted to go into the full game fresh. But I can already tell that the Soul Sacrifice demo is a lot more competent than the Monster Hunter demo, because Monster Hunter demos are so poorly done. Are they even multiplayer? Can someone tell me that? Are Monster Hunter demos multiplayer?
I don't think the 3DS... I don't think Tri-G was, or Ultimate.
It wasn't, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's just two boss monsters. Like, just go.
Yeah, here's the thing. Capcom is trying to, reach out to a new audience. They're trying to broaden their user base of Monster Hunter. But they release these demos that, to me, I have no interest in the story mode or the solo mode of Monster Hunter or Soul Sacrifice. I'll admit that. I'm a purely a multiplayer guy, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're releasing a single-player only demo of a multiplayer-focused game, you're just defeating the whole purpose of your game. I mean, how would you sell people on that? I mean, I don't understand what they're thinking.
And I mean, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they're doing a lot of things right with how they're pushing out Monster Hunter 4, so we'll see. But I mean, I would just love if these two franchises just took from each other, honestly. Because, I mean, they're both really interesting and cool. They're both kind of like what people have sort of wanted for a long time, like just fight big monsters. Like, how cool is that as a premise, And I mean, to be honest, this is kind of these are both franchises that I don't really want to play on my TV. That might sound weird. But I like being able to play this kind of game in the palm of my hands anywhere, at any time. There's something, I don't know. There's something nifty about it, I guess. But I don't know. Let's talk about a little bit about numbers. Sales numbers of this game, huh?
I thought it sold well. What was it? 100, and was it 120K or something like that?
So, okay. So there were two different versions of this game. Well, 3 different versions of this game you could buy, right? There's a single game, and that debuted at 92,396 copies, according to Media Crates. And then the dual pack, which comes with 2 copies of the game, sold 22,050 copies. And then there's the digital version, which there's no numbers on that, but at least on the PSN, it's number 1 on Vita downloads. So it's sort of impossible to know how much that's sold.
Well, then you've got the Vita bundle as well.
And then there's the Vita bundle as well, which, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm not sure if these numbers even count that.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So
I actually got the bundle. I don't know if you remember, I had the blue Vita.
Yes.
I had the blue one, and I bought Soul Sacrifice, and then I saw Kyle's unboxing video of the of his Soul Sacrifice bundle, and I was like, need it. So I went to the store. I sold my blue Vita and Soul Sacrifice for more money than what the Soul Sacrifice bundle was.
Good old Japan in your buyback.
Yeah, so I sold that and then got the bundle for cheaper, and I walked out of the store with money in my pocket.
Wow.
So I got the
robbery.
I got the nice red.
It is a sexy system.
Sexy system, yeah, it's good, man. You get the game as well. You get a memory card, headphones, cleaning cloth, and a strap and a case as well, all bundled in with it. So I was pretty surprised
with these numbers. It's a new IP. That's kind of the biggest one. It's a new IP, and Sony party new IPs do not sell well ever. Like Gravity Days, how much did that do? Its opening week, I think a little over 40,000, and that's the most recent Vita one. But they don't typically do so great.
Well, Sony didn't really market anything before.
No.
Whereas Soul Sacrifice, they've been hammering it.
Yeah, they pushed it a lot. There were some people who were putting it at 70,000 total this week, but it actually ended up doing around 120,000, probably a lot more than that if you include the digital sales. It's sort of hard to say, but if at the end of the day it did 150,000 its opening week, that's a very, very solid outing for Sony. And I think it's kind of unrealistic to expect a whole lot more from a new IP Sony game
on the Vita.
On the Vita, no less. I think as a new IP in general, these are very solid numbers, but on the Vita, that's when it even gets, that window gets smaller. But the real test is how it sells this week and the next week.
Because Monsanto on PSP, when that debuted, it was similar numbers, wasn't it? Or was it even lower? But it had legs. And
I think it was 20,000 its opening week, so it was very, very similar numbers.
And that blew up over time, didn't it?
Well, hopefully this does as well, because they've got planned DLC as well, right?
Yeah. 10 free bosses and then paid chapters, which we don't know what that entails, but I'm betting it's stuff like the 4 knights that you have to go on quests with to unlock them as AI partners, like bowmen and stuff. I'm betting it's new chapters for that, because those pages are empty.
I'm glad they're supporting it with DLC, because the difference between Monsanto and Soul Sacrifice right now is that Monsanto has a ton of more content, and whereas Soul Sacrifice is a little bit bare bones ish.
Bare souls.
I don't know. It's kind of. I don't want to be unfair to Soul Sacrifice because it's a new game and they're just laying the foundations of everything. But I mean, I'm just glad they're releasing. Was it free bosses? You say you don't have to pay for them. 10
free bosses.
That's great.
There's also new levels that come with those bosses too, or at least some of them.
Yeah, the first one are coming in early April, and they've actually shown some footage of the fight with one of those bosses today.
It's the Dullahan, right? I believe.
Yeah.
It's a headless horseman guy who carries a head in a cage. So they're actually new bosses. They're not just recolors or reskins.
Yeah. Which is what both games, not only Monsanto but also Soul Sacrifice, they both suffer from reskins. And
at the very least, I think, especially in games like Monster Hunter and this with reskins, I haven't played enough of Monster Hunter, so I can't say. I'm just kind of assuming. But I do like, because you sort of expect that kind of thing, but I do like that reskins, at least in Soul Sacrifice, like, it's not just like a color thing. Like, it's an actual like design thing. Like, for example, like the Griffin versus the Harpy. It has like, it actually looks like a bird now instead of a terrifying fat lady. Things like that do go a long way toward making it an easier pill to swallow, I think.
Yeah,
I agree.
The bosses also have different attack patterns and
different elements, of course. And
in case of the Harpy, for example, it's the Harpy and the Griffin, they basically have the same skeleton and one or two attacks, and everything other is new.
Yeah. So,
which is cool.
Elliot, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Regarding the AI.
Okay.
Did you find the AI to be assholes towards you if you did something wrong?
AI is hilarious in this game.
There you go.
Oh my god, screw them. Screw them so much.
AI, okay.
I didn't want to play single player because of their AI.
You need to know what sort of AI you're bringing into battle. If you do the side quest stuff on your own and not like multiplayer, you need to be very aware of who you're bringing in with you. Because, for example, if you're going for the law, I am the law. If you're like pursuing that path and you bring in two people who are pursuing chaos, like it'll say in their names, you bring two chaos guys with you and you go to like sacrifice things and you go to sacrifice the main monster, they're not going to like that very much. Or if you die in the boss fight, there's a pretty strong chance they're just going to sacrifice you.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. And with the monster too, there's a good chance that they'll both go to sacrifice it while you're trying to save it, and they'll steal the experience from you. Whereas if you bring someone whose affinity is law, they'll always save you pretty much, and they'll always revive. They'll always save the bosses and stuff. And they're typically, if you're law, you want to bring law with you. If you're chaos, you want to bring chaos, but you don't want to bring them both because they don't like each other very much. So if you bring like one law partner and one chaos partner with you, they'll probably sacrifice each other. They'll interfere with attacks, which I thought was actually kind of neat because it means you actually have to be paying attention to who you're bringing with you. You can't just pluck whoever off the shelf. But in general, though, like if I bring in two law affinity characters with me and I'm going for law, they'll help me out all the time, and they do exactly what they need to do. They'll die, of course. But generally, they're pretty helpful, especially as distractions, which are really important. Just to have somebody drawing the fire away from you, especially with a boss like Cerberus, who's constantly chasing you. And if you're alone, he's just always running at you constantly. Like, you have no time to breathe. Like, you're trying to heal? No, he's just going to jump on you. So it's a long way toward taking that pressure off your shoulders.
Yeah, but you need to remember that the chaos guys are assholes whenever you are law or chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Assholes. Law, it's law.
I saved one guy, and about a minute later, he sacrificed me.
That happened in the story yesterday. I was playing the story mode yesterday, and like there was just this guy there. He's just chill, like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. So I saved him, and I'm fighting the boss, and then like I died, and like I'm pressing the save me button. He walks over and sacrifices me, and then the other guy, then he died and was game over. So I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I love it. So I started up again. He's like, save me. So I had to sacrifice his ass. I'm screw you. Get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
it's neat. It's a very neat idea, but when it interferes with my progress of playing the game, it kind of annoys me. Like that was just like I lost the mission because he wanted to sacrifice me, and like I had to do it over again. That wasn't really happy at that.
Yeah, this is why you take law characters with you.
But this wasn't even taking. This was the story. Like this was the main.
Oh, this was the story.
The main quest, yeah, he was there. Like I had to choose to save or sacrifice him as part of the main quest. And like this isn't even bringing anybody with you. Like they have in the main story, like they pick a partner for you based on the story, right? So I had the one partner, and then he was just a guy chilling on the map, and I saved him, and then he sacrificed me. And so I'm like, I had to redo it.
on those. Like I find that it's not worth saving them because A, you're risking when you run out there to go save them at the beginning of the map, especially if the monster's already out there. And B, like the amount of damage they'll do versus the amount of damage you'll do if you just sacrifice them right off the bat, it's typically in your favor anyway. Because
save everything.
Well, I had a different experience because I just popped out a golem and killed everything in story mode.
Yes, golems rule. That was my my speciality for a while.
Golem, also known as Yanes' favorite attack.
Yeah, I feel that there's a little bit of unbalance.
Yeah.
Especially with the golems. Because they do a lot of damage. You can practically finish the story mode with a certain golem that does 380 damage, which is the highest I've gone so far. And you know that's not unexpected. But what I heard on when I was browsing videos on YouTube was in the demo you can get that poison golem that does 380 damage. You can get that in the demo. And then when you carry it over to the game, you can just, destroy the story mode with it. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm not really sure. Personally, I don't care about story mode. I would rather do it quickly because I'm all about the multiplayer. But if people want a challenge in story mode,
may I ask a question?
I think the challenge though is really it's meant to be Avalon, whether you take that single or multiplayer. Like the story is meant to be enjoyed as the story. And that's kind of like the hook that kind of keeps everything together. But I don't think it necessarily needs to be like super difficult to justify its existence. Because I mean, Avalon is where the bulk of the game is. Like you sort of see that when you just turn the page to like the Avalon missions, and you're like, oh, okay, like I get it now.
Yeah.
But there's one more thing about the golems that in the Avalon missions, if you're playing in multiplayer, the bosses have more HP. I think with 4 people, it's 4 times the normal value.
Yes.
And if you're playing by yourself with NPCs, the boss's HP doesn't change. So I basically cleared the whole chapter 5 by myself because I was mostly playing during my lunch breaks at work and I didn't have my Wi-Fi there, so no luck. And I've cleared most of it with golems, if I recall correctly. They do.
Yeah, man, you summon that golem at the very beginning.
Yep. You can skip the boss transformation sequence, so remember that, future players.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. You can skip the transformation sequence when they turn, and also when they turn back into humans right before you can sacrifice or save them, which is good if you're playing with randoms and you don't trust them and you want to get in really quick to like save or sacrifice them before everybody else. Which I find like when you're playing with randoms, that's kind of it. Like you're chasing down resources to take from them, and like you're working together, but you're also kind of competing against one another in a way too, because you're trying to like take out the head to get those extra points. You're trying to get the first strike. You're trying to save or sacrifice them before your teammates get there and try to steal that from you. Whereas when you're working with people, the game changes significantly. So I think it's kind of interesting how play style it really differs depending on who you're playing with.
Yeah. So guys, is this the best Vita game you've played?
Yes.
Elliot, is this?
Okay, that's a difficult question. You're asking the like king of Falcom fanboys. It's probably going to be the game other than Phantasy Star Online 2 that I put the most time into.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying it a lot. Like I'm loving it absolutely. But for me, there's been a couple other games that I've just fell in love with. I'm not saying it's better than those or worse than those necessarily. It's too early for me to say, honestly. It's 20 hours. But I am loving it right now, and it is definitely a must-have. And as someone who like plays primarily handheld games, I'm coming from that direction at least. Like I don't buy Vita games and play them because I don't have games to play on my Vita. The games I sort of want, stuff like Ys and Kiseki games, are on the Vita, so I play them, sort of thing. So just as a game in and of itself, I am having an absolute blast with it. I'm going to be sticking with it until the bitter end.
Okay.
So yeah, I love it. Definitely grab it.
Hasumo?
I think it's the best Vita game I've played so far. I loved Gravity Days. Won't say I didn't, but it wasn't as good as Soul Sacrifice. It got a bit repetitive near the end, and I also didn't really get that far into Persona 4. Sorry for that.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, so far, I think Soul Sacrifice is the best. I thought that Phantasy Star might get that title, but I really prefer to play it on the PC.
Okay. Eric?
Perfect.
I think I'll be playing Soul Sacrifice until Monster Hunter 4 comes along.
Ooh. Controversial.
Just with the amount of time that I have, I only have time for one of these kinds of games.
Exactly, yeah.
And like right now, everyone's playing Soul Sacrifice. And when Monster Hunter 4 comes out, a lot of people will be playing Monster Hunter 4. So I'm just going to slowly shift my way over to that.
And that'll have online too. So
yeah,
it'll have online as well. Excellent.
And then, but you know what? Like for Monster Hunter 4, like whatever comes after that, I'll be shifting my way over to that. So it's not so much a loyalty thing to one series, or it's just like what the bulk of the people are playing at the time.
I wonder if Monster Hunter 4, even though it's got online multiplayer, will it have voice chat?
It should do.
It should,
but I don't think it will.
Well, didn't that other Capcom game, was it 3D Mercenaries or whatever it was called, the Mercenaries game, the Resident Evil multiplayer? It had online. I'm pretty sure it had online and voice chat. Did it not?
I do not know. Where's CVX Freak? Someone is drumming over there.
Somebody drumming. I think it's Jack Hasumo. Yeah. So, okay, Kyofu, did you have to wipe off like 6 inches of dust off your Vita to play it?
Pretty much. I mean, listen, I started on PSO on the Dreamcast, and I played that for over 1,000 hours. Then I migrated over to Monster Hunter on the PS2, right? And I loved the heck crap out of that. And naturally, I'm going to enjoy Soul Sacrifice because it
speaks to you, right?
It definitely speaks to me. It touches my soul. It definitely touches me in the right way. It's definitely the best.
It cups your balls. Just say it. Just say it. It cups your balls.
It really fondles me the way I like it.
And the sexual reference is part of Red Sun Gamer.
What about the shaft, though? I mean, the balls, but the shaft.
Well, the thing is, I was excited for the Vita. I got on launch, but to be honest with you, I haven't really played it much. It's just collecting dust. Until this came along, I can't remember the last time I used my Vita for a week straight. Okay, I'm completely in love with the game, and like Eric, I think I will be playing Monster Hunter 4 definitely because I love Monster Hunter. I don't think I'll be playing Soul Sacrifice when Monster Hunter 4 comes out. Not because, one's better than the other or whatever. It's more because there's not enough content in Soul Sacrifice to really drag it further,
1,000 hours, yeah. And that's, I think that's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is a double-edged sword.
Because the pacing of the game is much faster, but you burn through that content faster too.
Yeah. And that's a good thing and the bad thing. I mean, good thing for people like Eric who don't have that much free time, don't have that much time to dedicate to just the one game, and especially Monster Hunter that has artificial prolonging of playtime, right? Because you're killing the same boss over and over just for that one freaking rare, and in Soul Sacrifice there's none of that really. So Soul Sacrifice to me is probably 100 hours, maybe 150 hours of gameplay, but all of that is progression and fun and, so varied. Whereas in Monster Hunter, I mean, one of the big things I hate about Monster Hunter right now is they make you farm charms, for your armor.
Oh, the charm table thing, right?
Yeah, charm table, and you spend hundreds of hours just doing that. So I don't think I'll be playing Soul Sacrifice purely because I'll be done with everything in that game, and then I'll be moving on to.
Well, the DLC's coming, so I don't know. They make.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't predict the future and what they'll do when Monster Hunter comes out. I'm guessing they will add DLC when Monster Hunter comes out, just to say, oh, hey, we still exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is probably my favorite franchise. In the past, I don't know, past 8 years, or I can't remember when it came out.
It better be with the amount of hours you put into it.
Yeah, I mean, I've devoted a lot of time to it. So I mean, I will be playing Monster Hunter 4. I mean, especially when they have online mode, because they didn't have online on the Tri-G for 3DS, and I didn't buy it because I don't play solo. Yeah, it's such a bummer, and I didn't buy it. But this one I will definitely buy.
Okie dokie. Well, it's
but Soul Sacrifice, buy it. Everyone should definitely buy it, play it, give it a chance. If you don't think it's the game for you, fair enough. But I feel that if you like action games, 4-player ones especially, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, especially since the demo will probably come before the Western release, so
yeah, probably like 2 weeks before it, I bet.
We'll be able to play both the single-player prologue and some 4-player multiplayer online.
Mm-hmm. You'll get a good idea of how the game plays.
Thank God for demos, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you should have picked the demo up ages ago.
I don't watch movie trailers, and I like to go on a media blackout. You know, I like to go in stuff fresh.
I was wondering why you were reacting that way to the Red Sun Gamer stream a week or so ago, because you were acting like you had never heard anything in the game or seen anything, and I was like, whoa.
I mean, I understand, because I haven't really kept up to date with the game. I saw the Nico video stream on Nico. I saw the developers playing that. I thought, that looks great. I'm definitely going to pick this up. And of course, I watched the TGS. Was it revealed at TGS? I can't remember. But yeah, it's definitely my favorite video game, and I really hope it has the legs to sell enough to get a sequel.
Yeah, I hope word of mouth gets around for sure.
Okay, well, I mean, this is basically the most fun I've had with my Vita since I bought it, and I think it just comes down to playing with people. Mm-hmm. Playing a solo game is great, and having an experience and a great story, but I don't think you can beat the experience of playing with others, especially with others that you know. I don't think you can you can't beat that camaraderie that you gain. So I mean, I think that's why I like it, is just basically playing with people I know, and sometimes they can be predictable, and then sometimes they just do something that is just totally out of left field.
Sacrifice everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the fun part about it, because everyone just goes as like WTF, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, like Eric saving everything and then leaving you nothing. Leaving you absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's why I've been enjoying it so much.
I didn't realize at first I thought it was like if I killed something, like everybody could like suck out its juicy experience, but I didn't realize that didn't work that way.
So you just just saving everything.
Then all these pretty birds and like rats just run around the field like they're alive. I'm like, God, I'm making life.
Yeah,
right.
I will definitely sacrifice you, Eric.
Yeah, me too.
Next game we'll all sacrifice Eric.
Yay.
Sweet. Okay, well, I think that's enough of Soul Sacrifice for this episode, or maybe for every other episode after it. So I guess Soul Sacrifice has got a big thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Definitely.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? I think Cheesy's listening to us, right? Cheesy's been sitting on this conversation for the last hour and 20 minutes or so. Cheesy, you there?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for being patient. I'd like to ask you a question, sir.
Sure.
Why didn't you pick this up? I'm just wondering.
Well, like I said last year when I saw the initial trailers for the game, it looked, uber violent. I actually played the game at TGS. It didn't do a whole lot for me. It seemed like just, another Monster Hunter type of game.
Mm.
So it's not really on the top of my list of games to play right now. I've got other games I'm playing.
It's pretty gross.
Well, when you say it's uber violence, I mean, you don't really see a lot of violence.
The most violent stuff is just in how grotesque the monsters are.
Yeah.
Slime.
It's gross. It's gross.
Yeah, I mean, the character designs aren't really something that I'm a huge fan of. It's like seeing all these grotesque sort of, I don't know, Baroque, I don't know, or Renaissance type of style monsters. I don't know how you describe them.
I think Baroque works. Yeah.
Yeah, Baroque might be the right way to describe them. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of the style. I can understand, wanting to play multiplayer with a bunch of friends, and that's definitely a valid gameplay style and something that a lot of people enjoy. So maybe if the character designs in the world setting were different, I would be more up for it.
Fair enough.
Will you be getting Monster Hunter 4?
Not planning on it, no.
We got to get cheesy in on some 4-player action.
Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing. It's the same genre. It's I'm writing.
Well, wait. You could pick up Fantasy Life, because that's getting an online update.
When
you go questing with 4 people.
I don't know. I think that might also be too Dollhouse for me.
From one extreme to the other.
Right now.
From one extreme to the other. Okay, so seeing that Cheesy's been away, and we've just brought him into the conversation, let's talk about something that at least 3 of you have played, and I think that's Bravely Default on the 3DS, right?
Welcome back, Bravely Default.
So good.
Well, the reason I'm talking about this is Hasamo has just finished it, right?
yes.
And obviously Cheesy's playing it also, and Elliot loved the crap out of it.
Eric as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. My game of the year.
And Eric, it was his game of the year. I have not touched it. So, Cheesy, take it away with the old Bravery Default.
Yeah, this game is really kind of dragging out. It's like one of those epic games that take forever, and unless you have dozens of hours to commit to an RPG, it's like it's going to take you a very long time to get through.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Come on, guys, go at it. I want you to go at it.
I mean,
attack him, Eric. Attack him.
It's going to take you time. You might have to make some sacrifices. You might have to choose. You might have to choose Bravely Default over, family or eating or work. But it's worth it because it's one of the best things ever made. That's pretty much
that Eric hyperbole. No, but it's really good. I mean, it took me trying to remember how many hours. I think it was somewhere in the 80 range. I might be pulling that.
I was 110.
I'm at about 40 hours last time I checked.
Yeah, it's a big game. It is a long game.
So, Cheesy, have you not finished this yet? No.
No, I just finally finished the part of the story with the Civil War.
Okay.
Oh, man, that took a long time to get through.
How far is that into the game, Elliot?
That's like...
Eric, where would you put that at?
It's... You could say it's...
No, that's true. You could say a lot, yeah.
You could... I would say you're almost half... Not that almost...
Maybe a little over halfway.
60%? 60% sounds 55?
Right.
Yeah,
that
55.
Far, really?
Yeah.
Because I've just started into the next dungeon after that.
So you're heading to Iceland?
No, not yet.
It's kind of like you don't want to... it's a thing you want to talk about after you've beaten the game.
Okay. You don't want to spoil it for me. We'll have to have a nice spoiler-filled chat once I'm done, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can have a spoiler cast.
Let's have a spoiler 4-way when Cheesy beats it.
Okay, yeah, we'll do
sounds
that.
Sexy.
We'll talk about the entire game for a good hour.
It's hard to talk about in retrospect.
Okay, how about we change gears and talk about Boob Ninjas, because this was my Kuso game of the year last year.
Martin's talking about Senran, Kagura. the new one for the Vita, Shinovi Versus.
Yeah, I wanted to know a quick question though. I know that Cheesy bought it on the 3DS last year.
Burst, yeah.
Yeah, Burst, yeah.
So bad.
And I want to know, why haven't you bought it on the Vita? Because you can touch the boobs this time.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Senran Kagura Burst on the 3DS.
No, neither was I. That's why it was my Kuso gay.
Myself.
It was just really monotonous, just kind of grindy, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then you got stuck with these visual novel sequences that would just go on forever. It's like reading and reading and reading. It's like just streams of text flying at you. It's like, okay, yes, and it's all cliche teenage girl, high school melodrama. It's like, oh, kill me now.
I never experienced that. Like, I was never a teenage girl. I don't know about you, but...
So, okay, Shinobi Versus. I put another vote to Twitter, like I did with Tokitowa, which I regretted immediately. But I asked, who wants to see coverage of this really weird game about boobs. I bought the first one, and I really didn't like it. It's a shallow game that wears thin very quickly. But people wanted to know about the game, so I grabbed. I had some points on my card. So Shinobi Versus, it basically the original games are 2D brawlers, like you're on a 2D plane for the most part, and they're very monotonous. The new game puts you in a 3D environment, gives you 3D movement, and so it's more of a 3D brawler in that sense. A lot of the early comparisons I saw were like Dynasty Warriors-esque, and the single player is definitely very Dynasty Warriors-esque. You're going through huge groups of people plowing down and fighting the boss, and those battles are actually a little bit tough, challenging.
Yeah, I found some of the bosses ridiculously hard, and I was like, am I really bad at this, or?
Yeah, no, they're pretty tough because you gotta parry moves, cancel stuff, dash around. I mean, there's a lot to know.
Yeah, and it doesn't really teach you that, right? You need to really go into the training levels, right?
Yeah. But where the game really, and what I think the game was designed around, and this might surprise some people, is the multiplayer. This is essentially a 4-player Power Stone-esque multiplayer game. Yes. In that 4 players come down on a big field and they fight each other, and items drop and like power-ups drop, and you're constantly battling and trying to like get better footing in different areas and stuff. And it's more chaotic than Power Stone, a little bit more frantic, but it's very much so balanced around that. So much so that recently they updated the game with, I think it's a 1.01 patch that balances out some character move lists, and like changes how much HP you have and stuff. And a big part of this too is customization.
Yeah.
Because you can you unlock hundreds of items that you can apply to your character, whether it's underwear or actual like clothing, accessories. But the thing is, you can change the size of accessories and put them anywhere. So you can have someone with a giant Tengu nose popping out of their head, like just weird stuff.
Oh no.
Exactly. I mean, if you do a quick Google search, you'll find some really strange things that Japanese players have done. But putting that aside, as a game, it's actually quite a bit of fun, and I'm actually holding on to it because it's a good time. The story mode is still, it's way too chatty. Mm-hmm. I don't mind like the stuff where like 2 characters are on screen talking, but when it's a visual novel, I just skip that stuff because I don't care about the story. I don't mind when the characters are bantering on screen. That's fine. But if I'm going to read a wall of text, I want to actually be reading a visual novel I'm interested in, and not one that I'm just like, ugh, why am I reading this? But honestly, if you're playing this game for the story, you're probably playing it for the wrong reasons. But I mean, it's actually
what are the right reasons?
I'm not going to go there.
The right reasons is kicking schoolgirls' clothes off while in a gym.
Putting that aside, the game is actually fun, and in some ways it reminds me of the combat in CyberConnect 2's Naruto games. They're really sort of ridiculous, over-the-top special moves all over the place, like cut-ins. It's a really decent-looking game, actually. The character models are actually, like, they're cel-shaded and they look really good. The environments are generally pretty nice. The frame rate suffers here and there, but I think it's much better than the 3DS version. Honestly, legitimately, it is a fun game, and I wasn't expecting that. In fact, I went in prepared to write a preview feature that was going to be like, this game is crap, don't buy it. And instead I ended up writing one that was, wow, this game is fun.
Yeah, that's what I got from it as well, because I for some reason I questioned myself when I bought it. I was like, why did I buy this? I hated the 3DS version. But I think just seeing it run, I saw some videos. I think Johnny Ram sent me a video of a dude just rubbing the screen, and I said, I just need to play it because it looks ridiculous. It looks so stupid. And I wanted to see if I could actually play it in public without feeling embarrassed, and that's a no. Yeah, it's I had a lot of fun with it until I started getting to some of the bosses, and I thought they were ridiculously hard, and they weren't really. I wasn't really that far into it either. Mm-hmm. But as you said before, is where the game really picks up is in the multiplayer, and what you said also regarding Power Stone. Yeah, I felt the same.
Yeah, like as soon as you get online, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, I thought, the move set's a bit limited and stuff, but once because you actually start unlocking moves as well as you go through the single player, and they transfer into the multiplayer as well, right?
And the crazy thing is that, as I said, like they released a balance patch for the game, and they're actually planning on releasing like multiple balance patches to like further tune the game, which to me is crazy because this is not the sort of game I was expecting them to even.
It sounds like the guy who actually made it wants to make like at least a sequel to it anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's better than the main series. Like this is technically a spin-off, but it's I'm actually enjoying it enough that I'm holding on to it for a while, because like normally with this sort of game, like if it's bad, it's gone. Like right. Tokitowa just like flew off to the wind.
Goodbye.
To a fire, finish that thing.
Get out of here. Yeah, no, me too. Alrighty, okay, cool. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. I did sell it because I sold it when I got Soul Sacrifice, but for the week I had with it and the week I spent online fighting other dudes, I quite enjoyed myself and I was pretty surprised. So it won't be my Kuso game of the year.
Yeah. One quick thing. I mentioned Tokitowa, so that's getting localized.
What? Who's doing that? What poor?
And it's Time and Eternity in English, and so you're going to start to see even sites that I might be affiliated with, previews and people writing about the game, and they'll probably be positive for the most part because they're previews. But I'm going to ask you, don't be fooled. Do not be fooled by people excited about this new 2D HD animation RPG, because it is so terrible and so crushing.
Why is it terrible? Can you explain?
It's a broken game. I mean, it's a piece of garbage on every conceivable level.
Do you think that they would not have addressed those issues though before it gets localized?
These are like base issues that the game has when they ran out of money developing it. Like ways in which people were talking about how Final Fantasy 13 doesn't have HD towns. Tokitowa has like a single static illustration of a town. And it's not even an illustration. It's just like a cheaply rendered 3D still of a town. Uh-huh. So like really barren, like block buildings. And characters have really, because it's actual animation, like characters are really limited in their movement. So in cutscenes, there are times where the screen just goes black and you just have like voiceover because they couldn't be bothered to actually animate the characters doing anything complicated. And this happens a lot, actually.
So where did they spend all of the money?
They spent it on trying to have everything be 2D animated. But the problem is that the studio they hired, Satellite, they do great work like Macross Frontier, or they can do like really terrible work. And this is definitely on the terrible side of the spectrum because everything is really just not well animated. Like, yeah, it's a 2D HD animation RPG, but it's the equivalent of watching like a really poorly animated anime. So you don't really win. Like, you're better off playing a Tales game or Ni no Kuni if you want that, like, I'm playing, animation feel, because this just makes you feel like you're watching a really terrible anime. And it's I've talked about the story before. It's awful, and I'm not sure how the localization can fix that, but bless those guys and girls, because they got a hell of a project ahead of them. For the record, I gave it a 2. out of 10.
That's
yeah.
harsh.
Generous. Sounds a little generous.
Someone in the comments said that too. They're like, "Oh, that's pretty generous." But yeah, and I mean, even the chairman of Image Epoch, the publishers and the developers, he disappeared for like 2 weeks after the game released because after you played, it was just like, this is the worst thing I've ever played. How did this get released?
Oh no!
So just be aware, everybody, when you read those previews. Just know my words, please. Save yourselves.
Excellent. Okay, can I ask a quick question then? Who has a Wii U? Sorry,
I do.
I do.
anyone download the Dragon Quest beta?
No.
Actually, I was giving my code away because I don't want to play it.
Oh wow. Okay, why?
Why? Oh, because MMOs. I don't want to grind. I really don't want to grind. So I'm not feeling MMOs right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Did anyone actually download it?
I did.
You did? Did you play it?
Yes, I did.
How is it?
Damn.
Well, I basically have played through the tutorial portion of the game thus far, which is offline single player.
Right.
And they give you 2 AI characters who go with you, your sibling and then this kid named Shin-E. Anyway, you just go through like a field and then you find your sibling in a forest grove opening a treasure box which contains this really odd-looking hat. It's basically a beanie with a flower on top. So that's one of your earliest pieces of equipment that you can get. And you look really silly once you've equipped it. And then you have to go off into this distant cave and pluck some special flowers for your town, which has been prophesied to be destroyed. And just on your way back from plucking these flowers from the cave, well, the town gets destroyed, and you become reborn as a member of one of these 5 species or races in the world of Dragon Quest X. So that's about as far as I got. I created my character in one of the 5 new classes. My character is a male Weddy, which is one of the fish people.
Fish people, Weddies.
Yeah. And I haven't really had a chance to spend a whole lot of time online with it yet.
This must be like the first Wii game you've played in, what, like 3 months? Because there's nothing being released in Japan for forever.
Yeah, I got the Wii U at launch with New Super Mario Bros. U and Nintendo Land. And there hasn't been a whole lot. I mean, I have played a fair bit of karaoke on it, and I've downloaded the demo for Tank and Zombie U, neither of which really did a whole lot for me.
Hang on, Zombie U's got a demo?
Yeah.
Oh. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, no, because I'm wondering because the Japanese release date, game releases for Wii U have been non-existent for like 2 months.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely ridiculous. I haven't seen anything like this before, and I don't quite understand.
Actually, Game & Wario is being released this month.
Yeah, I know this is this month, but I'm saying like after the system was launched, having nothing on the schedule is kind of crazy.
Game & Wario doesn't count as a game that I want to actually... I mean, yeah, people may like it, but I mean, where are the games for Wii U? I mean, mine's on life support right now. If this carries on, it will die.
Well, let's see. On Wednesday this week, we're getting Need for Speed Most Wanted U and Mother 2.
Okay, Mother 2, I'll give you that.
Mother 2 is what, a Super Famicom game?
Yeah, 30
yeah, 30 yen.
30 yen?
Console
it's hardly a game that they've spent years making for the Wii U, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
I'm so happy I haven't bought mine, really.
I haven't touched mine since January when they came back from America. It's bad.
I touched it yesterday, actually.
I think Wii U is going through a Vita period of, dry, nothing's out whatsoever.
I
not
think
doing well retail.
I think it will explode though when this Pokemon comes out, especially with the NFC.
Yeah, the toys.
Yeah.
That's gonna be there you go.
Well, in Japan, the arcade games in Japan, they're all card based, and they've all got this NFC chip in them, and they're massive.
Yeah, huge.
They're
and they're everywhere.
Absolutely huge. My daughter plays them. She plays a Pokemon one, and she also plays a Precure.
Precure?
Yeah, Precure. Yeah, Precure, or however you want to pronounce it. My daughter says Precure because that's the way they pronounce it on the TV show. And yeah, it's. I mean, I think when the Pokemon game actually gets released, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Pokemon Scramble U on April 24th in Japan.
Yeah,
no, man, Scramble U.
But that's. I mean, it's not something that I'm interested in at all. But I know the kids are going to go nuts for it, especially if they get this NFC card stuff down and know Nintendo and how they handle their license stuff, especially with the Pokemon. So, and this is just going to be massive. And I hope maybe it'll awaken the so far on life support Wii U in Japan, or maybe around the world.
Panic mode Nintendo, please. Give us panic mode Nintendo.
I don't quite understand why they released the system, to be honest. If they knew that they had nothing.
Yeah, I was really hoping, since they were launching so ahead of everybody else, that they were gonna use that time to really like push a lot of cool games, but not yet. Not yet.
It doesn't make any sense, to release a system to push it out and to spend the money on getting it out there, and then have all of this time between the Wii U launch and obviously like PS4 and the next Xbox, and basically do nothing with like the 4 months of when it was released. I don't understand why nothing has been done in this time.
Rayman got delayed, right?
Yep.
Sorry?
Like that was Rayman got delayed.
Yeah, Rayman got delayed, and then got made multi-platform.
Yeah, that was a big kick because I think people were expecting that. That was supposed to come out like almost. It was supposed to already come out. Or?
Yeah, it was supposed to have already come out.
I mean that was something.
It like 3 weeks ahead of its release, essentially.
Yeah, that was a big kick, I think, because like I mean that wasn't going to save it, obviously, but that was something, And then all of a sudden there was just nothing at all. Which was ridiculous. Even more so.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Cheesy? Here, you're probably the biggest Nintendo fan. Yes? No?
I don't know. But I was just really hoping for Pikmin at launch. And it's been a long wait. And it will continue to be a long wait until Pikmin arrives.
No one commented on this, but a while ago, Hachima actually reported that Miyamoto had said that there was no date for Pikmin 3, but that it actually got delayed a little bit even more to like midsummer, midsummer.
What?
Like he was just kind of like, yeah, sorry. Like when I get involved with projects, like they tend to take a while. It wasn't like a huge delay, obviously, because it never had a date to begin with. But I think he said it went from like, I don't know, like. It was more of like a June, July release sort of idea now, or something like that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I read that it was delayed again, or that it was coming out the end of summer as well.
No one actually put it on, but it got pushed back a little bit. Not like a huge deal, but
not a huge deal. Okie dokie. Another game I think everybody has been playing here.
Oh, Subaku.
Yeah, okay, Subaku. Yeah. I think has everybody been playing it?
I played the hell out of Subaku.
I played it.
You did?
I played the beta. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I've only played the beta.
You've only played the beta?
Yep.
Okie dokie.
What is Subaku, for those who don't know?
Actually, we've got the perfect person here to actually plug it. Is the actual creator himself.
What?
Hi.
Eric! What? Plug your game, my friend.
Yeah, I teased this at our Game of the Year thing, didn't I?
You did. That's all right.
I did. Yeah. I released it on the 6th of March. My first game called Subaku, Subaku. It's a puzzle game. It's a number puzzle game where you try to match 3 in a row of the same number, and the basic rule is you tap a number, its value will go down by 1, and the above, below, left, and right tiles will go up by 1. And you manipulate the field just by tapping on the tiles and make matches. So there's 100 different puzzles and an endless mode where you don't want to clear the board, but the game will try to clear it for you every few moves. So yeah, it's 99 cents on the App Store. Just came out. People have been saying really nice things about it. I got even a little bit of a mention on Kotaku when I met Brian Ashcraft at Bit Summit last week. Mm-hmm. He played it a little bit, and his son was staring at the phone, so he handed the phone to his son, and his son like almost almost 10 minutes was just like tapping. He was just like just obsessed at the screen, and like Brian leans over to me, he's like, I think he likes it. So that was really cool. But yeah, it's 99 cents, and you know what? Since for any Red Sun Gamer listeners, the first 2 people who tweet at Subaku the Game on Twitter as SUBAKUTHEGAME. If you tweet DJ Mizuhara is the biggest Nintendo fanboy ever, the first 2 people who do that will get a free copy of the game.
Wow.
Oh no.
Touche.
Ouch. I shall have to go hide.
It's actually a lot of fun. It's really addictive. I think Johnny Ram was saying that the endless mode, where you're not actually solving puzzles, you're just trying to stay alive and get more points. It's kind of like a roguelike, because every now and then, how many turns does it take?
Every 5 moves. Every 5 moves, something bad will happen. Something
random and bad will happen.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly trying to stay ahead, but when something random and terrible happens, like there's not much you can do about it. So it's kind of like there's that sort of tense air like weighing over you. It's a lot of fun, and it's only 99 cents. Give it a try, seriously.
You've just released the mini version, right?
Actually, that's coming out on Wednesday.
Okay.
The 20th.
What is the mini version?
A mini version is just the first 10 puzzles of the game for you to try out, and for free.
Oh, it's a demo.
Yeah, you can't say demo on the App Store. It's a...
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, you should have changed it to the biggest Apple fan, because I'm not really an Apple fan. Not
but
Nintendo.
Yeah, it's still tweet Nintendo fan. A Nintendo and Apple fan, maybe. That'll be good too. But yeah, no... for whatever reason, they don't want demo. But like saying it's called Subaku Mini. It'll be out on Wednesday. It's the first 10 puzzles to try out. Excellent.
Have you got any DLC planned?
I'm not going to do DLC. I'm just going to do more content that'll be coming in. I have some things in the works, but yeah, not DLC. It's just going to be so anyone who buys it now, you'll get the new content when it comes up.
Nice. Okay, so how about other platforms? So far, it's is it compatible on? It's compatible on the iPad because I played, but it's only within it's only like shown as like an at the iPhone. But is it full screen now?
Yeah, it's universal now.
Oh, it's universal now. Yep. Okay, that's good. That's nice. It's only iOS though, right?
At the moment, yeah. I might be looking into some other things, but at the moment, iOS.
Okie dokie. Well, I wish you all the luck with it. Congratulations on your...
Thank you.
This is your first title, right?
It's my first release title, yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your first release title, and I hope it does really well for you, and good luck in the future as well, because being a developer is...
it's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling, right, when your first game gets pushed out there?
Well, the greatest feeling is like I saw some people on Twitter like talking about it, and that was the coolest thing because like they weren't including me in the conversation. They weren't like, hey, we're playing your game. They were having their own conversation, regardless of me. They were talking about my game, and that was just an amazing feeling.
Nice. Well, give yourself a big pat on the back.
Will do.
You know your name. Well, congratulations. So I think we should wrap this one up.
Yeah.
It's 12 o'clock. It's actually 10 past 12 in Japan right now. We've all got work in the morning, and I have no work.
We used to run until like 3 in the morning, but we try not to do that anymore.
No.
That hurt my soul.
I don't have work anymore. I got fired for health reasons. They didn't want me there. The teachers actually literally got scared.
Because, that's contagious.
Yeah, it's contagious. No, they got scared for my well-being and stuff, and being in class and being in pain and stuff, and they just said,
"Okay, that's fair.
We can't have this." And they told the Board of Education, and the Board of Education told my company, and then the company said, "Okay, you're fired, and you don't have a job anymore, and we will not offer you another job when you get better." And I was like, "Cheers, F you too," So yeah, I don't even have a job anymore. So. God knows what I'm going to do when I get this operation done. So
game development, sir.
Yeah, well, it's actually good. Actually, when I'm in the hospital and I'm sitting there waiting in the hospital waiting room or whatever, playing Soul Sacrifice is a bit weird.
Oh no!
Sacrificing everyone. It's kind of cool.
This whole other weird area here. Wow.
It just feels wrong somehow. I'm sitting in a waiting room and everyone there is going for like a major operation, and I'm sitting there playing Soul
that's
Sacrifice.
The one thing in Soul Sacrifice. I mean, just because that just hit me. Because in Soul Sacrifice, like when you finish the boss and that person is sitting there and they're like, "Are you going to save them or sacrifice them?" They pretty much there's variations, but they're pretty much just moaning, "I want to live, I want to live, I want to live."
Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of a weird feeling, but it's kind of a good feeling too. On that note, I think we should be back next week because my surgery is until April sometime. They still don't know. They put it back. Oh, another good thing is they've only performed this operation I'm having done twice before.
Oh, okay. They've had practice. So.
Great. Yeah, they've had 2 successful operations, so I'm fairly confident.
That's the charm.
Three's the charm, innit? Yeah, it's great. Anyways, forget this. So let's plug Twitter. So I am DJ Mizuhara. Cheesy?
Cheesemeister 3K.
Excellent. Elliot?
Ryoga Satome.
Eric?
Revenant Kyoku.
Hasamo?
Hasamo.
Wow.
Kyofu?
Kofu 2011.
Oh, 2011, huh? Okie dokie. If you want to follow us on the Red Sun Gamer, you can. It's Red Sun Gamer. We've got Red Sun Gamer YouTube channel, which is Red Sun Gamer TV. And we do live streaming as well, which is twitch.tv/Red Sun Gamer. So, yeah, so that being said, I'm going to say, Otsukara sama desu, and we'll see you next week, possibly. Otsukara sama desu.
Otsukara sama desu.
Otsukara sama.